Welcome to Open for Business, the Gallatin Valley's only local business and consumer talk show featuring Tom Egelhoff, the Man Entrepreneur magazine radio called the leading authority in the United States for doing business in small town. Here he is, speaker, author, small business consultant, and Mrs. Egelhoff's favorite son, Tom Egelhoff.
All right, welcome everyone. Open for Business. We air every Saturday live from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mountain Time on AM 1450 KMMS in Bozeman, 1340 KPRK in Livingston, Montana. If you'd like to be a part of the big broadcast, go to kmmsam.com and click Listen Live. The call-in number during the show, 406-522-TALK, 406-522-8255. I'm here, you're here. Let's get the show on the road. All right, thank you, Dan. Welcome back, everyone. Saturday, May 14th, 2016, 49 degrees outside, 25 minutes before the top of the hour, and I want to welcome you to the podcast portion of Open for Business. Every week, I share some tips and tricks I've learned over the years about advertising, marketing, promotion, and building strong, successful businesses. And I do these Open for Business podcasts live every Saturday between 11:30 and noon Mountain Time from the studios of AM 1450 KMMS in Bozeman and 1340 KPRK in Livingston. And, of course, we stream worldwide on the web at kmmsam.com. So if you missed any of my previous podcasts, you'll find them all on my YouTube channel or my website at smalltownmarketing.com. That's smalltownmarketing.com. Go about halfway down the home page on the left side, and you'll find a link to the podcast page so you can catch up on any of my podcasts that you might have missed. Today's topic, we want to talk about how to use a two-step advertising approach to increase your sales. I receive more email questions about how, where, what, and when to advertise than probably all other questions combined. It's by far the most challenging area of business to master because there are so many variables and so many unknowns. So in small town markets, you're left to learn it on your own by trial and error. And that's the main reason for my small town marketing website, to give you some direction with advertising, marketing, and promotion. So what is the two-step advertising approach? So we've all heard the old adage, sell the sizzle, not the steak. So in the two-step approach, the sizzle is presented to the customer in some form of advertising. It could be direct mail, newspaper, radio, or whatever medium reaches your target audience. So as I mentioned before, they're presented with a sizzle, but the ad also suggests that they respond to the ad in some way. Make a call, return a coupon, request information. What you're doing is you're asking your customers to respond because there just might be some stake involved for them. So to those who respond to the ad, a follow-up presentation is made to close the sale. Now, the advantages of two-step advertising. The biggest advantage is the selection of qualified customers. You only want serious qualified customers responding to your advertising. So, for example, big-ticket items you might offer to let the prospect sample the product in some way. Car dealers have been using the test drive for years, and realtors show pictures of the homes listed, they set appointments, and they show the house. So, are non-qualified buyers going to take test drives? Are non-qualified buyers going to go on home tours? Of course they will. But in the long run, with this form of advertising, you'll get more qualified customers than unqualified customers. Now, one of the ways you do that is how to word your ads to produce qualified customers. So when writing an ad that you want the customer to respond to, you need to word the ad in such a way as to discourage the non-qualified buyers. So here's some examples of how you can do that. To obtain qualified buyers, your ad might indicate in your ad that a salesperson will call in the near future. To obtain lookers, indicate in your ad that there is no obligation and no one will call. To find a qualified buyer, be very specific about price in your ad. To obtain lookers, don't mention price. To obtain qualified buyers, if it's business to business, ask the prospect to respond on company stationery. To obtain lookers, no restriction on the method of response. For qualified customers, request demographic information, age, children, education, income, etc. For lookers, request only name and address. For qualified buyers, charge for your information or your catalog. For lookers, provide free information. And for qualified buyers, offer a gift or premium that is related to the product. For lookers, offer a great gift not related to the product. So right now, some of you are probably cringing and saying, I would never do that. Well, maybe that explains part of the reason your advertising isn't working. So if you're a regular listener to this podcast, tune out for a minute, and I'll educate the new folks to the difference between cost per thousand advertising and cost per customer advertising. Advertising salespeople will talk to you about number of eyes or ears that will see or hear your ad. And there is a cost of X dollars for your ad to reach 1,000 people. The more thousands you reach, the more cost of the ad. So you want your ad to be an investment, not an expense. If I buy an ad for $30 and it produces two people, two $10 sales, what happened? What happened is my advertising just cost me $10. That's known as an expense. It doesn't matter in the least what the cost per thousand of that ad was. If the same $30 ad only reaches 4 people and they spend $10, what happened? Well, my advertising is now an investment. It paid for itself and it produced a profit. So if the ad produces buyers, it's an investment. It produces more sales than the ad costs. Now, if the ad produces lookers who do not buy, your advertising becomes an expense. The longer it's an expense, the longer it takes for your business to become profitable. So advertising may pay for itself, period. It must pay for itself. Regular listeners can come back now. Now let's talk about how to measure the two-step approach. Another advertising mistake business owners make, they have no idea how much revenue their ad is producing. You must have a method for tracking the effectiveness of any advertising. This is another great advantage about the two-step ad approach. Because you're asking for the kind of response to the ad, it's easier to track the results it produces. So this is commonly called keying your ad. If it's a coupon, you might put a small code number on it somewhere. For example, if you ran a coupon in the Bozeman Chronicle on July 3rd, there might be a little code down in the corner that says BC7/3. If it's a phone call, your ad would say, ask for extension 102, or when you call, ask for Jim. Any call asking for those items would be a clue that it came from your ad. So if you use these ideas to write your ad, you could easily identify where and when your ad was seen. So let's look at how this two-step approach produces sales. So for example, using my earlier example, if a customer calls and says, does the 426 widget you advertise for $150 have reverse? What does that tell you? Well, it tells you which ad they saw, doesn't it? They've identified the product model and the price because you included those items in the ad. Now, is price an issue for this caller? No. If price were a deterrent, the call would have never been made. What the caller is really trying to do is justify the $150 expense. Now, if the widget in fact has reverse, that's a great deal. It's an extra bonus that the customer gets for spending the same $150. But if it doesn't have reverse, that's the time to start asking questions and finding another need you can fill for this customer with a current widget or another model. Perhaps another model that has reverse is very close in price with additional features that might also be valuable to the customer. The point is, you'll have more qualified customers calling you who are interested in your product and service, so take advantage of it. There's always variations on any kind of advertising, and this one is no exception. You might use one media, a radio ad, to direct customers to a more detailed ad in the newspaper about your big annual sale. Grocery stores and large retailers do this all the time. A third step might be a coupon in the newspaper ad with a discount at your store. The bottom line is any advertising effort is always threefold. Advertising the right message to the right people with the right product. And are your competitors using this two-step method? Give it a test drive. You'll be glad you did. And that's the podcast. If you missed any of the previous podcasts, you'll find them all on my YouTube channel or my website at smalltownmarketing.com, smalltownmarketing.com. Go about halfway down the homepage on the left side, and you'll find a link to the podcast page so you can catch up on any of my podcasts that you might have missed. So tune in each Saturday, and let's build successful businesses together.